Welcome to Rush the Field, everyone. This is your Week 3 college football watch guide and pick'em video. Usually I split these two up into separate videos, but I'm going to be so honest right now. I feel horrible. I feel like trash right now. I'm recovering from the Texas State loss just last night, and I'm just ready to get back in bed and fall asleep for a couple hours. But that doesn't mean we get to skip out on the pick'em video. That doesn't mean we get to skip out on the watch guide video. For the watch guide, that's for the people that, at least when I was in college, it wasn't easy for me to prioritize my time. I've had people from, Ireland comment in the video saying, it's hard for me to watch college football and know which ones I need to record or prioritize my time with. That's why we do it. I give you every time slot what game you should be watching and a backup game in case that one is a complete and utter blowout. Then we go to the pick'em video. That's the pick'em challenge that I've set for myself, where we pick against some spreads. I pick whichever amount of games I want to, put my life on the line for, because the consequence of not going over 50% for the entire college football season, you, the viewer, is going to be able to select like a fantasy football style punishment. If it's got to be me, like in an IHOP for 24 hours, I'll do that. But it's not going to happen because I'm going to get over 50% of the picks right. If you're watching this on Friday, there is a major matchup, 7 p.m. Central. You have Kansas State and Arizona. This is at Kansas State. This is a battle of two Big 12 contenders. The winner of the Big 12 goes to the college football playoff. So there's high implications of a potential playoff team during this game. And a lot of people are very high on Arizona, Ted McMillan, Noah Fafita, the quarterback wide receiver duo. They're super, super dynamic. You had Ted McMillan go for like 263 in the first game. And then the following game, they kind of, struggle against Northern Arizona. And he only has 11 yards and 2 catches. They are both coming off of, subpar performances against lower level opponents. I can give a little bit more grace to Kansas State, being in a dogfight at Tulane. That's a well-coached team, but still, you should be playing better than that. And I think Avery Johnson is still very much unproven as a quarterback and is growing week by week versus the proven commodity in Noah Fafita. This is an incredible matchup, and I think this is going to be high scoring. Usually on those shorter weeks, you simplify the offense. You don't have as much time to prep, and Kansas State's defense has been disappointing, especially in the secondary. And then you have Arizona, who has not been able to contain a running quarterback, which is basically what Avery Johnson does. His bread and butter is mobility. So this is a fantastic matchup. So I think I implore you to watch this Friday night instead of, UNLV versus Kansas. Although if you want to watch some interesting schemes and, different formations, watch that game, because UNLV's offense by Brennan Marion, a former, I think, Texas wide receiver coach, goes to be the OC. It's an insane offense to look at. I'm talking about like 3 people in the backfield, not like I'm the quarterback, running back. Like I'm saying like 3 people just lined up in an offset. It's fascinating to go look at. So if this game becomes a dud, go watch that. So there is football on tonight for Friday. By the way, the pick, I'm going with, I think it's Arizona plus 7.5. I just don't think that this game is going to be a blowout one side or the other. I think Kansas State's going to methodically control the game, but Arizona has enough firepower to keep it close. I think this is going to be one of the closer games of all weekend, but we can go ahead and dive into Saturday. I'll be honest, week 3 is relatively weak, but it is my job to show you what games are the best for this week of college football, because objectively, there's going to be great games regardless. For the 11 a.m. slot, make time for South Carolina and LSU. This is going to be in William Bryce, one of the most electric environments in all of college football. I wish with all my heart and soul that this was a night game, truly, because it's just one of the most underrated matchups of the entire week. A lot of people have been dogging on it for College Game Day going there. They wanted people to go to West Virginia versus Pitt, Alabama, Wisconsin. I just don't think people understand the impact of this game if South Carolina wins. If South Carolina wins, they are on a trajectory that no one expected Beamer Ball to get to, because the hype begins to build back up with him after it kind of fizzled out last year. On the flip side, LSU, if you lose this game, Brian Kelly in that hot seat gets turned to 11, and we start having completely different conversations about LSU as a program. I don't think their defense is that good, but they should be beating teams like South Carolina pretty comfortably. And they're only favored by 6.5 points. So if they don't beat them by a touchdown, I'm going to lose because objectively, I'm taking those points. I think LSU wins this game. I have a lot of respect for South Carolina and Dylan Stewart, but I just think some of the big plays that Dylan Stewart's been able to make, I think LSU has the personnel with Will Campbell, Emery on the tackle positions. They're going to move him everywhere to try to, shake up this LSU passing attack because LSU objectively is not going to be able to run the ball. The biggest matchup is genuinely those tackles versus Dylan Stewart. If he's able to create havoc and wreck plays and Nussmeier throws a pick or two, and then South Carolina is able to run the ball consistently, I'm almost talking myself into an upset. But I'm going to take LSU comfortably. I believe in Kyron Lacey. I believe in Nussmeier. So the backup game, that's my pick, by the way. We're going to put that there. It is -6.5 for LSU. Circle it, dot it, send it away. The backup game at 11 o'clock is going to be Alabama versus Wisconsin. And I don't think this is a close game. Wisconsin's going to be out with their top linebacker. Wisconsin does not have the firepower. All love to Tyler Van Dyke. It's just not going to work against Alabama. Alabama is going to be able to run the ball at a high level. The only path of an upset is Alabama's offensive line completely collapses and Camp Randall just goes absolutely nuts. But I just don't think vertically Wisconsin has the weapons to push the ball downfield in marquee moments and big time, like 3rd and 9, 3rd and 12s to win this game or even keep it close, because I am taking the 16 points that Alabama has been favored by. I think it's creeped down just about half a point or a point or two. I'm going and taking those points and shipping it away. I think Jalen Milroe is going to make a lot of plays. I just don't think anyone's going to be able to cover Hollywood. So Hollywood Ryan Williams, by the way, if you did not know that, a 17-year-old, by the way, just dominating college football, blows my mind. But it's hard for me to even look at this and think Wisconsin has a chance in this. Although it's one of the most random pairings that I've ever seen. The fact that I believe there's a SEC team that goes to UMass next week, just kind of random. No disrespect to Wisconsin. I get they're a Big Ten team. It's not that random going to UMass levels, but it is kind of interesting to think that Alabama's going to Camp Randall. Just objectively, I think that's interesting. And if both of those games suck at 11:45, I already told you guys that Boston College, Florida State, that was electric watching Thomas Castellanos absolutely cook with Bill O'Brien. They get another opportunity. They're a ranked team, by the way, against Missouri. I don't believe Boston College is that good of a team. I think they got a Mickey Mouse, hyped up, overhyped, ranked win that launched them into an area that I just don't think they are contending at a high level just because Florida State is just that bad. I think this is going to be a buzzsaw. I believe Missouri, this is where they stamp their foot of just, hey, we're in that upper echelon of the SEC. Luther Burden has been relatively quiet up to this point. So is Brady Cook. I think this is basically where they let them rip it. I think Castellanos is going to make some really interesting plays. I know the line has moved. It's now +14.5 or +14 flat or -14. Pardon me. -14. I think Missouri easily covers that. I think it's going to be a splattering and it's going to be seen as a ranked win for Missouri, but I think it's going to be a little bit overblown. At 2:30, you have basically your pick between two games. We have Texas A&M at Florida. No one knows what quarterback is going to be starting for both sides of the coin. Connor Wigman got listed as questionable late into this week, did not practice. I believe the last practice leading up to going to Gainesville, it's in the swamp. We don't know if Graham Mertz or DJ Lagway is starting. It reportedly seems like it's going to be Graham Mertz, but they are going to have packages for DJ Lagway to cook. I don't want to put a pick on this game. I think this is going to be a sloppy, gross game. Trey Wilson, the wide receiver for Florida, is also listed as doubtful, but potentially could still play, so he's not completely out of the game. This is going to be a sloppy game. This is going to get its own video reaction just because the results of this game is going to turn the spotlight to 11. If Florida loses to Texas A&M, Billy Napier might not have a job. If Texas A&M loses to Florida, Elko is not going to lose his job, but the pressure meter is going to hit 11 and they may end up being 7-5, which is going to be a major disappointment. Let's not change expectations just because of the results. The expectations for Texas A&M was 8-4, 9-3, and a 7-5 would be a disappointing first year. No way around it. But the backup game is going to be the Civil War. You have Oregon going to Oregon State. Corvallis is going to be incredible. I assume Oregon State is going to be supercharged. This is their Super Bowl. This is their ability to punch the team that left the Pac-12 in shambles and started a major domino effect. It's also a rivalry game, and I'm going to take the points with Oregon State here. I believe it's plus 16. I think it's going to be closer than that. We know the story with Oregon playing close against Boise State, playing close against Idaho. I think this all leads to another close game for Oregon and Dillon Gabriel. I'm fascinated to see if they could potentially cover the 16 points, but that's just too big of a bite for me to take. I'm going to take the points with Oregon State, even though I don't think they win this week. And to finish the night, we have Colorado going to Colorado State. If you remember last year, this was game of the year level good. The amount of eyes on this game, the amount of attention between the Colorado State coach, between Deion Sanders, everything Colorado is just a spectacle at this point. And you get the night game at Colorado State. It's a rivalry game. Make time for this. Honestly, out of all the games, I would put, LSU, South Carolina pretty high. I would put Texas A&M, Florida pretty high. I didn't know if I mentioned it, but the Oregon State, Oregon game and the Texas A&M, Florida game, same time, 2:30 Central. This is going to be the 6:30 slate. Make time for this game because it might be over at halftime, like we saw with Nebraska. Maybe Colorado State, mind you, comes out and absolutely punches them in the face. And I guess the noise can't get any louder for Deion, but it may break the entire noise meter or the speakers with how loud it will get for Colorado and Deion's coach. As a coach, they would never fire him, or would they? That's like the narrative that would start. But Colorado needs this win. They need it bad after that Nebraska loss and how ugly it got. So make time for that game. But the backup one, in case it's just a absolute buzzsaw one way or the other. But mind you, I'm not putting a pick on that game because deep down, I think Colorado State could win that. But I'm not going to put a pick on it. I'm not going to put a pick on the other game because Georgia and Kentucky play. We saw what happened with Kentucky last week. Georgia's going to just absolutely dominate them. I don't even know why I'm putting this on the watch guide. I just need it on your radar. Kentucky has played Georgia pretty close. You could think that maybe with South Carolina, it was a look-ahead spot. Brock Vandergriff comes back and faces his former team. There's storylines here with this game. It's just, I don't think that interesting because we know what the result is. I have no faith that Kentucky and Mark Stoops actually gets this to be a close game. And with that being said, thank you guys for sticking it out. I know this wasn't the most polished one. Like I said at the beginning, I feel terrible right now. But if it is your first time at Rush the Field, all I'll ever ask of you, we have a ton of momentum right now. Like a lot of you guys are showing support and it means the world to me. Just give me a chance to talk football with you. Whether it's a like, comment, subscribe, everything would help me out so much. I love this channel. I love you guys so much. So I will see you guys next time for all the recaps. Go enjoy the weekend. If you want to take a break from college football, this is probably the weekend to do so. And then I'll see you guys next week for all the previews.